Hi, welcome back to my channel, Our Blissful Chaos. Today I'm going to be sharing with you guys our daily routine and how I get things done with my kids, the schedule we keep, and explaining how I use the loop board. If you haven't seen my video on my loop board, go ahead and check that out here. So the way life works here when we're in our schooling routine is I don't usually get out of bed till about 7:30. My older two wake up between 7 and 8, depending on how late they stay up reading, and they'll do their breakfast. They come downstairs, they make their own breakfast. My littles wake up around 7:38. They like to stay up in the room and play. So I kind of just have some free time in the morning. Me and my husband usually take a walk, get our steps in, and when I come in, my boys by 8 o'clock are usually working on math, or Connor is doing a subject from his third loop. Next at 9 o'clock, I do read aloud for an hour, and this is reading from a novel that we've picked, like a 1 or 2 picture books. I just started doing picture books again in our read aloud time. At 10 o'clock, I sit and I work with either Liam or Fiona. Fiona doesn't actually really do a whole lot of learning right now. She is kind of independent and likes to play outside, likes to do her paints. She has a loop here where it is mostly art. She has all different mediums she's practicing. She's learning oils and watercolors and pencil sketches, things like that. I do not really force her to do any math or reading lessons. I'm waiting on her to let me know when she's ready for that. So some days she will be like, hey, can we do a reading lesson, or can you help me read this book? She is actually more into just picking up a book, which is usually like a thick chapter book, and trying to read that. So she's not too into the reading lesson book. I just picked up a set of the McGruffy readers, and she's actually liking those because I think it's something she can hold in her hands, and it's pretty simple. She's making great strides with it. But again, she does that on her own time when she wants to. It's not something that is an everyday thing. Liam usually takes the 10 o'clock spot with me. He has a huge list on his loop that he's working through, so I spend most of the hour with him. At 10 o'clock, Connor goes and does his third loop, whatever it is that he's working on, and that is Oren's exercise time in the workout room. At 11, Connor takes his exercise time in the workout room, and I take my time with Oren or Fiona. I just kind of rotate whoever needs me. Oren is pretty independent. He's 11 and all his learning is pretty much done on his own. I'm guessing when he gets to pre-algebra is when he'll need me a little bit more to sit with him and go through the lessons with him. But we're not there yet. He is currently using Beast Academy, and I think we have some time before he needs me for the either Khan Academy that he's going to do or Alchemist with the art of problem solving. So I kind of have some free time during my 11 hour, and that's usually when I try and do the morning dishes or throw in a little laundry or review what it is I'm going to be teaching for our 2 o'clock loop. And let's see, lunchtime, noon, everybody gets the hour off. My kids make their own lunch, they clean up after themselves, they go play outside. It's just a free hour. I usually have lunch with my husband, and it's kind of my downtime. Then at 1 o'clock is usually when I have my time in the workout room. If I'm busy doing other things, like if I'm not prepared for my second loop teaching, then I'll usually use the 1 o'clock time to just really quickly prep on that. That's usually a good time for me to go start a load of laundry and either work out or prep for videos or for the lessons that I need to do. All 4 of my kids at that time will branch out and go do independent reading for 1 hour. Fiona and Liam do not read independently, so they listen to audiobooks, and Oren and Connor read from a actual physical book. And for my older 2, Oren really enjoys audiobooks, but I feel it's important to get the practice of reading with your eyes. So during the daylight hours, I tell him, I want you reading out of like an actual physical book. And then at nighttime, when they get to stay up late, if they're reading, that's when I allow him to listen to all the audiobooks he wants. So after our 1 hour of independent reading, we come back together in the living room and we do our second loop. So that is going to be our history science, our writing, our fun, and our cleaning loop. I have a new loop that's business and financial education that I am building a curriculum for, so that is not up here yet. And so for 2 o'clock, we cover whatever it is our loop's telling us that we're on. Sometimes we tend to run past into 3:30 if discussion's flowing, if there's good questions happening, or if there just happens to be a great video we find on YouTube or, Generation Genius, whatever it is that we're doing. It's not like a 3 o'clock hits and we're done. Like if we're into it, we'll keep going. So I really do enjoy being done by 3 because I still have the rest of my day to do, right? I have to clean the house, I have to prep dinner, things like that. So I try not to go any later than 3:30. My boys really like hopping on their video games. They have friends that know they get off around that time. So we really try to not be doing school all day. I guess I didn't talk much about Connor. He's independent. I still try to keep up with him during his loop. There are some times, and it really depends. It's not something that I can schedule. It really depends on where he's at, what loop he's on. If he's working on psychology, then I try and keep up with that so that we can have that Socratic dialogue about it and really digest it and discuss what it is he's learning. For math, I'm doing my best to try and keep up with him so that it's like we're learning together. Like we have that camaraderie of, wow, we don't get this. This is kind of hard. And then we go to Gavin and he explains it to us. But yeah, his schedule and my time I don't have a specific hour with him. I catch up with him, when I can, when he needs me. But he's almost 16 and he's been pretty independent for about 2 years now. So I kind of float between the kids and who needs me. It's mostly during that 11 o'clock hour, or I catch up with them at the end of the day. And that's the other thing. I think I mentioned my homeschool book that I have, and at the end of the day, because I'm not really working with Oren and I'm not really working with Connor, at the end of the day, before everybody breaks away and does their own thing, they sit with me for like 5-10 minutes and just let me know what they did. Like, what'd you do in math? What'd you learn in psychology? And I get some specifics, and it goes into one of the notebooks I have for showing what they did for the day. So I sit with each of them and I write everything down. Like Fiona played outside all day, that's what gets written down. If, Liam did Legos and math, then that's what gets written down. I don't discount anything. If they, spent the day cleaning their room, if they worked out longer, or if they spent time with their dad, if they were up there and just kind of were in the room with him as he's doing work, not really conversing, but if they were just with him, I make a note of it. Spent the day with dad. And what's nice about that is I can look back and see progress, and I can also use it as like my attendance, like this is what you did today. So I will do a video about this and I'll show you what that looks like. I didn't always use this, and I'll get into that in a later video, but that's how I end my day. Is I, spend 5-10 minutes with each of them, and I just write down what they did. It's super simple, super easy, and that way I don't forget, because there has been times where the end of the week comes and I open my notebook and I'm like, I haven't written anything down for a week. Like, what did you guys do yesterday? What did you do today? And they can barely remember what they did today, let alone what they did yesterday, let alone what they did on Monday. So it's really important that I get that, 5 to 10 minutes before I let them branch out and go do their own things. The next part of my day, my kids are done after this. If they've completed their chores, which is mostly dusting, making sure their room is clean, their laundry's put away, things like that, they're free to hop on their video games. My littles only get video games if they do the reading and math. That's the only thing I require of them to get screens. Usually, they don't care for their screens all that much. Liam is more prone to it than Fiona. She just wants to be outside until it's dark, so she doesn't care about getting math or reading done. She does most of the stuff on her loop and then just goes and plays outside for the rest of the afternoon. At that time, around 4:30 is when I start prepping for dinner, or one of my kids is cooking, they start prepping for dinner. We try to have dinner around 5:36. Sometimes it bleeds over into 7, but I'm working on it, you guys, to make it earlier, because the day just flies by. And we used to always eat at 7, but then we'd have to stay up later to let the food digest, because I didn't like sending my kids to bed right after they were done eating. And we had started sending Liam and Fiona to get ready for bed like at 8 o'clock, just because they're inside, usually, especially in the winter, it's already dark by then. So they're inside, they're brushing their teeth, they're cleaning up their room, they're just mellowing and preparing for bed. They're not actually in bed asleep. That doesn't happen till about 9. And when they do learn to read, they will have the same privilege that the older two have of being able to stay up and read books. But I think that's about it. I usually stay up till maybe 10 or 11, which, my husband's like, you need to get your sleep too. But that's like my time. I'm sure you guys know what that's like. It's like the house is quiet, and I did try to be that person that woke up like at 4, 5 in the morning to get some of my time in, where I could, get all the laundry done, or like make sure the kitchen is clean, or do my planning, get some yoga in. But it was so hard. I did okay until winter came. I started it like, I don't know, summer of last year. I was getting up early, and then it got cold and dark, and it was impossible to get out of bed. And I tried when the spring came. I really tried to, wake up early. I did feel so much better. I felt super accomplished getting everything done before all the kids woke up. But I just can't handle it. I'm not a morning person. So I will tend to stay up late. That's usually when I get to read my books for enjoyment. Lately, it's just been audiobooks that I've been listening to, because I'm trying to keep up with Connor's series that he's reading. I'm trying to keep up with the books that I want to read, and the books that my 3 littles are reading together. They're doing Wings of Fire on audio. so that's a lot for me to keep up with. So the audiobook has been my go-to. This is pretty much our routine throughout the entire year. This past summer, my kids had more of an unstructured, unschool type of routine because I was focused trying to build this channel. We do tend to take from mid-November to about early January off. And when I say take it off, I just mean that we're not so on the loops. Like if we're not feeling like doing science, then we just skip it and go to the next one. We do a lot of holiday things. We do a lot of holiday reading. We do more nature walks because it's a lot cooler outside, you know, in the fall. And so I think that's when we spend most of our time outside. Also, that's when I think we hit our read alouds hard. We like to be cozy. We like to have our tea. Everybody's wrapped in a blanket, chilling on the couch, and I will let that 1 hour in the morning for read aloud bleed into lunchtime because that's like our time off. I know we're still doing school and I do still require math and reading during those times, but you know, sometimes we'll let the history, the science, those things, we'll let those slide and just stick with our read alouds or whatever it is that's bringing us joy at that time. So that is a summary of a day in the life with us and our homeschool routine. So I'm gonna wrap it up. Hopefully you got an idea of, you know, how I manage my time, because to be honest, I'm the one that's super busy. I'm going from one kid to the next. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, maybe got some ideas. If you have questions about the loop board, let me know down in the comments. Also check out that video. I will leave a link for it down in the description below. Thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I will see you next time.